Hello, beautiful people. Just popping in to do a quick live today. I am working. Yesterday I took off, went to the beach. I'm working and working on lessons for the mastery path and on some content for this week. And as I build this out, there's just deeper and deeper realizations that I'm coming to and different ways in which I'm trying to put what I do with women into words, like what this path is, what we actually do and what it's about. And today I want to talk about spiritual awakenings, ego deaths, and the fact that we aren't who we thought we were. And this is not going to be for everyone. Some people might think I've lost my mind, but those of you who are meant for this, you'll know it, right? You'll recognize it. You'll feel the truth in it. So here goes. I just want to get real for a moment. And here's what I've come to realize. For some people, this comes through sudden spiritual awakenings where they have a mystical experience and they get to tangibly experience what it feels like to be completely one with everything, with the whole universe, to know that they are source and that they are everything, right? And those people are lucky because they have that tangible experience maybe before they even have to do the deprogramming, right? And then there's those of us who have spiritual awakenings in doing shadow work or in step work in AA or, one of those kind of programs where we start to really see the deeper layers of what makes us tick and how we've created our life so far and how we've contributed to and exacerbated our circumstances, how we've actually really chosen and created everything, even the bad stuff, for ourselves the whole time. And that triggers sort of an awakening. And then there's the kind that comes from, uncovering truths, peeling away lies about this reality and how it works, right? It could be how the government's been lying to you. It could be how conspiracy theories are coming true. It could be all these kinds of things, right? Where we start to awaken to the fact that, like, this world doesn't really work the way we thought it did, right? And I just want to say that, like, no one really talks about the part where the ego starts to panic, right? We get to this place where we will get depressed. We go through anxiety. We feel grief, even shame. Once we start to realize our own patterns, once we realize that we've fallen for lies, that we've been lied to, or that we were lying to ourselves and we didn't even realize it, there is an unraveling here, right? And that's what a lot of this work is. Like, there is no awakening to truth without some sort of unraveling of the ego. And the real thing that we're doing here, right? I speak to women who ache to feel chosen, women who identify as an empath, who feel too much, people who really just want to stop suffering and live the abundant, loving life that they came here to live, that they know they're meant for, that they know is available to them on some level, and they just don't know how to get there. And that's why I built the Mastery Path, because the Mastery Path is not to make you a master. It's to remind you that you already are a master, that you have always been the master. You are not the you that you have believed yourself to be throughout your whole life, and this includes me too, is not actually who you are. And it actually never was. The human identity, the trauma, the story, the roles that we play, that's not who you are. And it never has been. It's the ego. That's the character. It's the ego mind identity. It's the version of you that was shaped by survival, by conditioning, by society, and by believing in this separation, this reality of separation. On the highest level of reality, there is no separation. And that's what you get when you have a spiritual awakening. You get that tangible experience of, oh, everything is one, you know? And this is that forgetting, that descent into the illusion, is what many traditions refer to as the fall. And it's not because you sinned, it's not because you're inherently unworthy, it's because you forgot. You drop down into this 3D matrix of separation, limitation, trauma, timelines, and you believed the lie. I did too. The lie that we are just a person, that we're just this body, just a mind trying to make it through this world full of limitations, that we are somehow defined by our past or held back by limitations. And none of it's true. It's just not true. You are the source. You are pure conscious awareness. You are the eternal I am. God said, "Be still and know that I am." You're the dreamer, not the dream. And so when you start to remember that, the soul begins to wake up from the dream. And this happens in so many different kinds of ways. But one thing that happens in all circumstances is that the ego panics. That part of you that believes it's separate, that identity, that version of you that believed it was small, that it was wounded, that it was unworthy, it starts to die. And when it dies, it can be loud. And that's how we wind up falling back into old patterns, right? We start to believe it because it doesn't go quietly, it fights. It negotiates, it throws everything it has at you to convince you to crawl back into the identity that you've outgrown. And this is the mastery path, right? Being held through that ego death, right? Not believing your own ego's bullshit that's trying to convince you that this is just too woo-woo, and in the real world we actually have to live by these limitations and all this other nonsense. It'll say things to you like, this is nonsense, or you're losing it, you're out of your mind, or you won't be able to function in the real world, or you'll lose your personality, you'll stop caring about people, you'll stop having empathy for world, events, for people's suffering, you'll lose the best parts of yourself. But listen to me, none of it's true. It's all just the ego dying. It's just the character wants to remain active. And that is this whole personal growth journey, this whole spiritual growth journey, is understanding that none of that is true. And in fact, the opposite is what's true. When the false self falls away, you don't become detached from life. That's not how it works. You become more alive than ever. You don't lose your compassion. You gain real compassion, because now you don't look at others and feel sorry for them, but only the ones that agree with you. And actually kind of silently wish those that you think are causing you harm, or that are whatever, causing more suffering for people, like you silently wish that they would get what they deserve, right? So that they could learn their lesson and all of this. That shit just goes away. Even for those who hurt you. Even for the versions of yourself that you once abandoned. You have nothing but compassion, because you become free. You stop performing for worthiness. You stop negotiating for love. You stop healing. And you stop chasing healing. This is how people stay in this personal development loop, where they are constantly striving to fix and finally get free, and it just loops and loops and loops, because there aren't a lot of people out here talking about like the highest of the highest spiritual teachings, and that's oneness. It's the law of one. It's that you are not this person that needs to be fixed. You just have to remember that you're not this person, and then walk yourself through the path of the ego dying and trying to convince you that you're crazy and all of this. And so you really can choose right now to stop believing all of that and be whole right now. Like, you don't have to become whole. You remember that, and then you walk yourself through the ego death. And no, you're probably not going to sprout wings and fly. Like, there are limits to this realm that we live in, physical limits, that kind of a thing. But the limits that you once believed were real, that because things have always been this way, they'll always be that way, or because I didn't get this level of education or work this hard or work my way up, then I can't have the success or the abundance or the position that I want. That because, I haven't seen it in my life, then I can't get it, those kind of things. They start to dissolve. You won't have to convince yourself that you're worthy of the things that you desire any longer. You won't have to affirm beliefs. You can change beliefs in an instant. Once you recognize that it's not true, that's it. It's just not true. Like, you just know that it's not true, and then you act like it's not true. We stop rewriting, we stop affirming, we stop trying to take on a future identity out there, and we drop identity altogether. And it takes a little time, right? Because it's a lot to untangle, it's a lot to dissolve. Instead of, trying to convince ourselves that we're worthy, we start to realize and know tangibly that what's meant for you is already encoded in your field, that it's already yours, it's already part of you, or you wouldn't even be able to see it, to perceive it. And so this is the path of true transformation. This is the remembering of who you've always been underneath all that noise of the character. And so, this is not something that I've done alone. It's not meant to be done alone. The ego is cunning, and it will pull you back into old patterns if no one's helping you hold the line. And that's why I needed an AA sponsor, and that's why I needed a business mentor, and that's why I always have mentorship, because we convince ourselves that we're limited, and then it's very hard to stop believing our own bullshit. It just really is. It's probably the most difficult thing in the world to do, but it's the most rewarding, because the path then becomes devotion. It takes devotion. It takes witnessing. It takes support. It takes safe reflection from someone who's already done it and can point things out to you that you can't see for yourself, and someone who remembers the way out. Like, I'm having a hard time putting words on what I do, and I was talking about that with one of my clients this past week, and she stopped me and she was like, I don't know how it is that you do what you do. I don't know how to word it, but it works. And that was like the best feeling ever. And right there it came to me. I was like, you know what it is? It's that I've walked myself through this alchemy so many times that I listen to you, and as you're giving me information, I am connecting the dots, and I just see it in a way that allows me to reflect it back to you so that you can see it clearly. And then you're choosing your way out of it. You're stepping into your power from that point. Like, I'm not actually doing that. I'm just seeing the patterns. I'm connecting the dots, and I'm pointing things out to you that you can't see from your vantage point. And so, if your soul has been screaming, yes, like, this is for me, like, I am tired of feeling like I want to be chosen and I can't seem to fill myself up, that I feel too much and it's just overwhelming and I want to stop taking on everyone else's stuff, that I just want to feel whole and complete and empowered. But your mind is doubting every word that I just said. That's okay. That's just a sign that you're exactly where you need to be, because the old identity is dying and the truth is rising, and that's an extremely uncomfortable place to be. But you don't need to be fixed. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you that you're not where you want to be right now. You don't need to fix yourself. You need to remember and then untangle all those things that you think are you that are not you and never were. And this is literally my purpose. And I believe that those of you who are here, that are seeing my content, that are drawn to my group, that are drawn to me, that most of you are here for a reason. You created me, because that's why I had the burning desire to do this, right? That's why this comes through me. I feel the need to sound like a crazy person on the internet and and untangle all of this because there's obviously a need, right? There's obviously people who are meant to walk this path. And so I believe, I know that your higher self wrote this into the plan, right? That she called me in, that she gave me this burning desire and this sacred assignment to remind you of who you are. And I'm here for your awakening, for my awakening, for the path that we walk together. And this is our moment, right? To stop repeating the patterns, to stop being in pain when we don't have to be in pain. Like, yes, the body doesn't live forever. There's going to be dying. There's going to be transitioning to the next life. There's going to be things that happen in this world that we're going to have to experience as human beings, and some of it causes suffering. But you don't have to live every day feeling incomplete, feeling like you're not whole, feeling like you have to get things or people or whatever to fill your money to fill yourself up with. Like, this is not necessary that we do the kind of suffering that we do. We don't have to continue to live according to what's happened to us in the past and define ourselves by the past or by what some religion or government told us who we are, and people that didn't even know who they were told us who we are. Like, that's all nonsense, and we get to let go of it. We really do. We get to free ourselves from this paradigm of being wounded, being limited, being sinful or whatever, because you don't live according to someone else's rules for control. Like, that's just nonsense. And just because you've only gotten a certain thing out of life, certain results out of life so far, does not mean that's all there is. Like, that's not true. That's just not true. And so I am creating this mastery path. It's 16 weeks long, and it's going to eventually be a group program, but right now I am taking a handful of women through it one-on-one. You get a weekly one-on-one call. You get access to the weekly lessons. You get journaling prompts. You get resources like audios and meditations, hypnosises, those kind of things every week. You get access to me in Messenger to walk through reframing those things when your mind starts going nuts and your ego starts freaking out. Like, you get to be like, okay, so this is what's going on. And then we reframe it together, right? We see where we shift it together in real time. And so if you're in the thick of it and you want out, message me. Let's have a conversation. If you are ready to jump in and you know that this is for you and you're really feeling it, just DM me mastery and we can have a conversation about what that might look like. Or just share this with another woman that you know is standing on the edge of her own becoming and might be able to use some support. Yes, we may sound crazy to the people who are still asleep, but I'm not here to entertain muggles. I'm here for women who really want to experience real magic in their life. There is nothing wrong with you. You're not crazy. You're not behind. Everything that's happened up until now has brought you to this point so that you can remember who you really are, and so that you can stop suffering and truly step into your power. And so this isn't an undoing, even though it may feel like it. It's a remembering. And it changes absolutely everything. It's fucking life-changing.